This is the Mid-Penn Media Center, Artist Expressions with Alma Love. I am the producer of this show. And today we are going to be interviewing Cheyenne Meyer Predium. Cheyenne is my granddaughter, and she has an accomplishment that I am very, very proud of. And I wish to show this because I want other children of her caliber to let them know that anything is possible. Hi, Cheyenne.
Hi.
Cheyenne is coming to us from France. Yeah. So
Yes, I am.
so Cheyenne, I wanted you to tell our audience a little bit about yourself, where you are right now. Where are you?
Okay. So, hello, my name is Cheyenne, and I'm currently in Tours, France. So, it's a central part of France. It's about a 2 hour train ride from Paris.
Okay, Cheyenne. I want the audience to know what were the journeys that you went on to get you where you are now? Is this one goal that you had set for yourself?
Yes, it definitely is. So,
Okay.
I'm originally from a city called Moreno Valley, California, and I began my journey learning French in high school. So, my high school had about 8 Spanish classes and one French class, and I decided that I wanted to take French. And through learning French, I got to learn about Francophone culture, and I learned about the work life balance in France compared to the United States. And that was something that I was particularly interested in. And I continued learning French all throughout high school. And then when I got to university, I continued learning French as well. I actually minored in it in addition to my main degree. And I've always had a desire to travel internationally, particularly to France. When I started learning French. So that's, I'd say, the very bare bones of my beginnings to getting to France. This is my second time in France, actually. I studied abroad in 2022 for 4 months during my senior year of college.
Yes. Tell us about your trip to Washington, which is the first place that you went to before you even went to college.
Yes. So I was nominated for a program called People to People when I was in fourth grade. And that was my first, I'd say, journey into being interested in foreign policy and international relations. So it was about 4 days that I spent in Washington, D.C. And there were a bunch of other children from all over the United States. And we talked about the importance of pursuing foreign policy and basically how all of us wanted to eventually pursue careers in politics. And I got to go and tour a bunch of different monuments, for example, the Martin Luther King Memorial. And then we also went to see um, Arlington National Cemetery, yes. And that was my first, I'd say, oh,
Guest speakers there
oh, well,
in Washington.
I don't remember their particular names, but the organization was called People to People, and
Okay.
yeah, the purpose of that organization was to try to encourage young children not only to pursue careers in politics, but also in foreign policy. So these
Mm.
were people who were interested in working abroad, working for international companies where perhaps they are based in the United States for 6 months and then another 6 months they work in an additional country. And this is for, I'd say, yeah, it was my very first introduction and most of the children's very first introduction into international relations.
Okay. Now that you want to tell us what school that you're teaching and how is it progressing to you? I
Okay.
mean, does it? No, go ahead.
So I am teaching at one high school. So I am currently doing a program called TPIF, which is a teaching assistant in France. teaching assistant program in France. So, with this program, there are many different applicants from all around the world. And of course, I'm an applicant from the United States. So, I am assisting with teaching English. There's different assistants who are teaching Russian, who are teaching Spanish, who are teaching Chinese. But for me, I'm teaching English. And I was assigned to a high school called Lycée Clermont, and that's where I'm currently also living as well. So, with this program for all the different languages, we work about 12 hours a week. So, it's not a full time position at all. We're on, I'd say technically like a stipend, essentially. It's not like a full, like livable wage, but
I
it's
see.
enough to be able to sustain yourself for the 7 month period that we live
Okay.
here.
And the students, how do they perceive you? How do they accept you?
So I'd say the school that I'm at, they've had English assistants before. So the students were used to English assistants. Also, language assistants, not only for English in France, start way back until elementary school. So it's something very normal for French students to have a language assistant in the classroom, a native speaker, so that when they're learning different languages, they can practice their speaking abilities. So
Okay.
my students were very used to and me as an assistant, and they were more so interested in asking me questions about American culture. And because they're high schoolers, they are more advanced in English compared to middle school and elementary schoolers.
So does Cheyenne have a career in mind?
Yes, I do. So, I have a Bachelor of Arts in International Relations, and I would like to pursue getting a master's in international relations or in foreign policy. I don't know exactly where I want to attend, which university to attend for my master's, but I do.
But you do know where you can go.
Well, yeah, I
You have
intend to
you have
study in
choices.
France. Yes.
You yeah,
Um,
okay.
yes. I intend to apply to do my master's program in France, hopefully. If it's not France, then I would like to maybe also learn in Brussels as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
most master's programs, at least for international relations and foreign policy, do want you to have some work experience before applying to the
I
master's. So
see. Yes.
that's one reason that I wanted to do this TAPIF program. And
Okay.
I am also trying to find internships
Oh,
for
okay.
that are
That's
also in relation to
beautiful.
like
Internship.
foreign policy, because I would have a better chance at applying to a
You
master's
would.
program by having a more in-depth resume.
Right.
So my current plans for trying to achieve my career in international relations, I would like to work particularly at an embassy or at a consulate. That is a long-term goal, but I would have to get my master's, and in order to do that, and I could also potentially work with an international company and be like their international relations advisor. So that is something else that I'm also interested in, but predominantly foreign policy, working at an embassy, working as an ambassador. That's the long term career that I would like to pursue.
Oh, that's wonderful. Just all of this is just showing so much perseverance and so much determination that you're putting forward with this. And I am, as a grandparent, happy to see this because this is to let other children know that this is also possible for them in their future. So, do you have any tens for your future? Like get married, having a family, or you're gonna go ahead and just stay right there in the foreign countries? Because I see that I know that you understand what's going on here in the States, right?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna
So,
ask for you. Yeah, so do you think that's gonna affect you in any kind of way?
oh, absolutely. Given the current political state of America right now, I have reapplied for this program because I would like to. I'd say it is a goal of mine to live abroad. France is the goal right now, but I would like to live and work abroad. Ideally, I think a 60-40%, where 60% of my time I'm working and living abroad, and then perhaps 40% I'm back in the States and visiting like family, or also working part time in the States. Personally, for me, my current life goals are career related. I really want to, I'd say, get a career that and be very established, and be financially independent. And I also would really like to travel. So I'm currently not contemplating marriage or children at all. My goal is to be successful in my career, and be a successful auntie. That's kind of
Hey,
my
very
my
good.
goal.
Very good. See what happens when you take care of yourself. you know. But like I said, what's going on here in the United States, I'm hoping that that doesn't interfere with you and your future. So just like to keep in touch. But the thing I wanted to ask you about your career is, I just want you to answer one, just how important it is for you to have that career.
Okay. It's extremely important to me. So, I am what is considered a first generation student. I'm the first in my immediate family to attend a 4-year university. And due to that, I entered university as kind of at a disadvantage compared to other students who have had like parents or multiple family members who have been been able to attend university and been able to secure like paid internships, which led to their careers, and have already started. They know how to network, all those different things, and I was at a disadvantage compared to those students. But I knew that going in, and I was able to rely on my professors predominantly, in terms of just being very communicative about what I'm currently going through and what I need their help with. And a lot of them were very receptive to that.
Oh,
And
great.
for me, education is extremely important.
It
It's
is.
how
It
I
is.
like kind of just got through a lot of adversity in my life. Was I just focused on school, and I
Right.
always particularly enjoyed being a student. I'd say I'm very much an introvert. I'm very much a bookworm.
Right.
That's where I thrive. And
Right.
I know that probably long term, like after I've worked a couple years in foreign policy, I would probably like to be a professor as well, like circle back around to
Okay.
education, but I have to have experience in the field in order to teach in it.
Okay.
So having a
Is that
career
what you
is
want to do?
um
The
well, I
teaching?
want not as not I don't want to teach as my main career. What
Okay.
I mean by eventually being a professor is that once I've like had multiple years of experience, for example, let's say if I end up working at an embassy, at an American embassy in France, and I
Mm-hmm.
end up working there for, let's say, 10 years. This is just in theory. And then I go work for a different organization, and then I work for another organization, and it ends up being about like 20 to 25 years. I think I would probably like to circle back around to be a professor at a university, and I can actually teach international relations because I've had work experience in it. So that's what I mean by going back around to education. But in terms of your question for how important a career is, it's it's extremely important for me, in order to be able to create the life that I want, to be able to afford things beyond the basic means. I'd like to be um, able to not have to like worry about money. I don't want to be super rich or anything, but I'd like to be comfortable.
Right.
Um, I'd like to travel a lot. That's a main goal of mine.
Right,
Um, and I really want to see the world. There's so many different places in the world that I'd want to
right.
go to. And I want to I don't want to start that very late like in my life. I don't want to I don't mind working in an office, but I don't want to be bound in one place, unable to escape it for so many years. So
You
if
want to be able to
I
move around and get into different
yes,
areas and meet
yeah, and
different people.
that's
See,
also
that's
why I
how
really
we,
like
yeah. Well, this is what we're going through now in the states, because we need to be open to all the states so that we could learn from them and they could learn from us. But our president is not letting that happen. And I'm kind of worried about you talking about education is so important to you. They're cutting education here. So
yes.
I want you to get involved and find out what's going on here, and because we're all trying to save our states because of the because of our president, and his policies are not working out for the world itself, and how they're cutting education and they're targeting African Americans. So I don't want you to really worry about that, but because you do have to come back home, and so I'm just telling you, just so that you could be careful when you get back home. And they're trying to cut our legal rights. So I just wanted you to know that. Let's get back to you and your career. Okay, now you told me how important that is to you, and which give me the definition of the career. And like I want to say is that I want to show this to other young people to let them know that they can do this also. And so I want to talk about your relationship with the students and the people there. Are you finding it a bit comfortable to talk to them? And are they nice to you? You represent each other. What about support?
So I would say, in terms of support, there is a person who I go to at my school who was assigned to me from. So the organization is through the French government that runs this program to PIF. It's called France Education International. And at my school, I am assigned a reference professor. So this is someone who is a teacher also at Lycée Cramont. And I go to them about, for example, moving into the dorms at my school. I go to them whenever I'm trying to figure out my schedule. I go to them, for example, they helped me open my French bank account here because that was something that I needed to have. Now that I'm like a person who is working in France, it's completely different from when I was just a student studying abroad. I am currently enrolled in the healthcare here. I go to my reference professor whenever I'm like sick, for example, and I need to ask for days off and I need to change my schedule. So I will say I do have support in that manner. And I've also found a lot of support with the other language assistants. Like I briefly mentioned, I am currently living in a dormitory that is on my school's campus. There are also other assistants who live here who teach at various different schools throughout the city that I'm in. So I'm lucky where I'm in a situation where I can regularly interact and socialize with other assistants. Sometimes with this program, you are expected to find housing on your own, so it can be difficult to meet other assistants and socialize. And just in my general interactions throughout France, since I'd say I am like mid intermediate with the language, it's pretty easy to get around. I do struggle with a lot of language barriers the majority of the time, but I know enough of the basics to be able to kind of get my way through any difficult situations. But for the majority of the time, I'm not bothered here or anything. I'd say there's a lot of different people in this city. It's very diverse. So I don't feel like I like stand out like oddly at all. The only time I feel eyes on me are when I speak in English in public because they're like what's like an American like doing here. But I'd say yeah. Also, to circle back to your question about how the students are reacting to me and if I feel like I've made like an impact with them. So, because I have high schoolers and they have a higher level of English, I'm able to do more difficult activities with them, which is something that I really appreciate. The job that I was doing before this was a substitute teaching job. So I was on call and I would go to different schools whenever they would need a substitute. However, being in this position where I'm actually a teacher, 99% of my classes I am teaching alone. So even though this program is like a teaching assistant, because my students are higher level, I am just the only like adult in the room. So I'd say it's a bit difficult because since I am closer in age with the students, they it took a while for them to take me seriously. It wasn't large in like amounts of disrespect or anything. It was just getting them to engage and participate in the activities without them feeling like another student is like just supervising them or like someone from like a local university is just watching them for an hour or for 30 minutes. So I'd say about the second or third month in is when I really started to see like students engaging with the different lesson plans that I would create for them. A lot of my lessons focused on not only improving their speaking, but particularly about their dreams and aspirations. I would ask them if they were to study in an English speaking country, if they want to study in the United States and Canada and Australia, like why, what city would you want to study in, what like subject would you want to study, getting them prepared about how to talk about those various dreams and aspirations in English because they can talk about it in their native language in French easy. But for example, if they want to apply for a scholarship in order to be able to attend a university in an English speaking country, or if they want to apply for a job in an English speaking country, they're going to have practice with those oral speaking skills. So that is something that I am predominantly helping them with because they learn grammar with their English teachers already. They've already done a lot of that. And because I'm not assigned with grading any of their assignments, I'm mainly their speaking practice and helping the students build up their confidence in speaking. So I'd say my students they just treat me like another teacher. And they see me all the time because I live on the campus. So, yeah.
Okay, that was interesting, and I'm very supportive of that. Also, just to know the difference of what it's like in France from what it is in the United States. Because a lot of our states here are different, run by their education. They teach differently. But we need to learn from each other. And that's
Mhm,
why it's important for us to be with the other states. So that we can learn from each other.
mhm.
And another thing, I wanted to talk to you about. Okay, now you have explained about your career and with your family life about and everything. So can you tell me, are you happy right now?
Yes.
You are happy. Well, that's good. That's what I'm. It's important to be happy, right? Because once
Yes.
we're happy and we feel safe, then we progress, don't we, with our lives? And
Yes.
also, do you have God in your life?
I do.
Yeah, okay. I want you to have the Lord in your life and to say your prayers. Tell my granddaughter, say your prayers every morning. And thank Him for letting you, for supporting you for what you are in, because you couldn't have done that without the Lord in your life. So, okay, what do you think? So, when you do graduate and get all your degrees and everything, so are you gonna just stay where you are? You're gonna come home, or you know?
I'd say my current aspiration when I have let's say, gotten my master's, and I would like to be working, let's say, at like a consulate or an embassy, probably at a paid internship that will eventually transition into me being hired on permanently. Um, Personally, I'd like to be living abroad full time. So where it's probably 70% of the time I'm abroad and 30% I'm back in the United States. That's, I'd say, my current goal. So where in France? I would love to be in the south of France, mainly because the weather is the most similar to California. It's very cold where I currently am, and I'm not used to that. So, a lot of people love to vacation to the south of France. I'd love to live in the south of France, and live and work there. And it's very difficult because it's a highly sought after. It is a highly sought after area. So
We're going to
yeah,
try to help you get there so we could come visit you.
that's the goal.
Yes, that's our goal is to come visit you while you're there. It's to keep you there. Yeah, well, okay, well, I can't think of anything else to ask you. And I want to tell you that I really, really appreciate you, coming on and explaining to us, your goals and your career and everything else that's involved because our family do love you. We want to support you and we will be there for you. So you just let us know, okay? And
Mhm.
then first thing Monday morning, we will take care of our business, okay?
Okay.
So,
So, I did want to, I don't know if I got a chance to answer it in some of your first rounds of questions about maybe what I could recommend to younger people who are interested in like studying abroad. I can start with studying abroad because that's the first, I'd say, bout that someone would want to do to know if they would want to work abroad. So, personally, for me, my sequence of events, I was able to study abroad due to scholarships. So, my first step was researching outside scholarships that were specific to me, scholarships that were for women, scholarships that were for African American women, scholarships for people who were interested in international relations. I did dance and cheerleading, so I was searching for scholarships pertaining to those things. So, the first step I would recommend for, let's say, people who are in high school would be to search for outside scholarships that are specific to their characteristics because they have a stronger chance when applying for them. And my second step was actively communicating my financial needs to the study abroad office at my university. So, if study abroad is something that someone in high school or someone just starting out university is thinking about, I would say that going to visit their study abroad office and trying to see what events they could attend to get more information about the application process for their university um, is like a very important step that they have to take. And then also informing the study abroad office about what their financial situation, like the amount of scholarships they think that they are going to need in order to make this a reality. And my third step was that I started like a scholarship fund for myself. So I started to set aside some money as I was working. I worked on my campus during my time studying. I did a work study job, and then I also worked during the summer. So I started like a scholarship fund in order to like actively put money aside for study abroad because there's so many other costs that are random and can come up that your scholarships might not cover. So it's good to, I'd say, start that a year or a year and a half ahead of the time that you're planning to apply for a program. And then obviously, step four is kind of deciding where you want to study abroad and what program you would be interested in. So, looking at what specific program that you are applying for, what country it's in, the city it's in, if you're applying to study abroad in Italy for computer science, or you're applying to study abroad in, let's say, like Spain because you want to like like you're majoring in Spanish and you want to actually go to a Spanish speaking country and live there and study there. You want to look at those specific programs and you want to see if they have any particular scholarships that fit to you. I applied to over 20 scholarships at the same time that I applied to my program. So there were scholarships that were a part of my program and scholarships outside of my program. And then my fifth step was that I was communicating with the different organizations to see like the status of like my application. I got a lot of no's, but I did get enough yeses that I was able to make it a reality. So I received about 6 outside scholarships. And then I also received additional scholarships within my program. But so I would say the money that I received in scholarships, in addition to the money that I saved for over 2 years, helped me be able to study abroad in the south of France. I studied abroad in a city called Nice, and it was very picturesque. Like there's mountains and it's near the beach. And that's was like kind of my process in terms of applying for like scholarships in order to make it study abroad a reality. My scholarships were able to cover my tuition and my pre-departure costs, and then I had extra money left over for personal travel and then emergency money. So yes, that's a bit of my like sequence of events that I could recommend to not only high school students but to, I'd say, university freshmen, because that's when they could start actively applying and speaking to their different professors or speak to their study abroad office. But if you're interested in high school, I would start trying to save money, as much money as you can. Things are getting more expensive. These programs could probably be more selective in terms uh, of who they accept because of um, the current state of the economy. You never know. There could be an emergency in someone's life where you have to use some of the money that you've saved up. But if you've saved up enough, then you could still make that a reality. Yes, yeah. So money was one of my huge issues where I thought it wouldn't be possible for me, because I knew I had the determination to do all the applications and to advocate for myself and to articulate my aspirations. But I was like, that's nice and all, but you need the money to be able to physically go there.
And
And
help from
scholarships
Grandma
were
Alma.
yes, yes. But I yes, and it's good. It's also really good to have the support of family. But if you really want to make that big jump to be able to study abroad, there is a lot that has to go into a lot of effort on your end in order to make that a reality, because you only want it as bad as the effort that you put in. And you can't have somebody else want it for you. And yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that support and for that information and for explaining, steps on how you have made this accomplishment. And so I think that's going to be the end of our program. Is there any questions you want to ask me or?
um oh, I didn't prepare questions. um I don't have a question, but I'd say a closing note is to thank you for inviting me to kind of briefly talk about my experience and my current work in France and my career aspirations. And so thank you for giving me a platform to speak about it.
Okay, Cheyenne, I love you and thank you so much.
Love
And we're
you.
going to end it right here. Okay, you go on and take care of yourself and be good. And we love you. And bye bye.
Bye, Grandma. Thank you.
Bye.